This dashboard you see here is a compliance evaluation dashboard. All right, so this dashboard is a custom service, part of our data visualization service, and I had to extract some insight from the data set. It's a very structured template that was sent to us, and the goal was basically to load this data set into Power Query, clean the data, and then try to extract some insights based on some KPIs that we had to agree on. All right, so the interesting thing about this dashboard is the fact that during the time of data cleaning, we noticed that some of the data types within the column were not consistent. And for that reason, we had to find a way of separating them from the real data set so that we can count them separately. So I'll be showing you guys that in a bit. But before we get into that, let us try to understand what is compliance evaluation all about. So every time we hear compliance evaluation, we're talking about finding out if the organization really complies with its legal requirements. And this includes activities like site inspection to verify compliance with legal requirements, safety observations to physically see compliance with legal requirements, reviewing legal documents to check if there are any expired permits. So it's more of document review and various other compliance activities. So these activities must be logged into a system, and that template is a compliance evaluation register. And so whenever we identify some deviations, like something has expired or something is against the legal requirement, we raise a non-conformance, and so you log it into a corrective action tracker and you follow up until closure. So what you see here is the dashboard, and basically we're looking at the number of compliance evaluation that has been carried out. Some of the compliance evaluation activities includes pre-qualification. You need to pre-qualify your vendors. That is also part of compliance assurance activity. So pre-qualification score is here. The compliance evaluation score is also here. And then the aspect that has to do with tracking actions from compliance activities, given the fact that there were some deviations, that is also here. So action closure rate is right here. And then there are some type of activities that does not have a score. So we'll be looking at it. So there are some data types that you have to separate. So this is mainly it. We have the compliance levels, and then we have the action status, which is open and closed. Then we have the various pre-qualification score, and this pre-qualification score is also part of that compliance evaluation, but that is treated separately because we are looking at it from the context of before we engage contractors on the project, we pre-qualify them. And so we have their score. And then after they are being contracted and they're performing the work, the compliance evaluation that we do, we also need to ascertain a score. And so each of these sites, some of them are contractors and all of that, they have the pre-qualification score and then a compliance score. And over here you have the compliance trend. And then here we have the compliance evaluation and the score. That's pretty much it. Okay. So I'm not going to show you the template itself because that is, there's a non-disclosure agreement, and so we're not supposed to show that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to head to the, the Power Query. All right. So we go to the query editor. So we can have a look at how the data was structured so that we can understand it in that context. Okay. So we have query in there. Let's click on edit. Okay. All right. There we have it. So the interesting thing is that we have to clean up the data, all right? So we go to the very first part, which is the source data, right? We go all the way to the source, so looking at the apply steps. And when we look into the data set, we notice that where we are supposed to have numbers are having not available in there. So the score over here is supposed to be numbers, but we are having not available. The percentage also is having not available. And just because these type of compliance activities or compliance evaluation does not have a score, and so score does not apply, and so we cannot simply replace not available with 0, because when we do that and we are estimating the average, it's going to affect the average score, especially when it comes to the percentages. So having zeros in there, it's not going to be a good idea. And so what we did was that we had to find a way of separating all the not available from the data set. And so we duplicated the query. Okay, we created a duplicate of this query. After cleaning up and everything, we created a duplicate so the not available will be separate. So you have a lot of not available just because the results does not create a compliance score. So they don't have a pre-qualification score, neither do they have a compliance evaluation score. So that's just it. So basically we created a separate query and we did a cleanup and everything, and then we just did a DAX calculation on it just to understand how many of the not available do we have which without a score. So that's it. And then again Another query was about all of them, just to count the action status, because even though we have not available, there is an action status which we have removed. All right, so there's an action status which is open and close, and so we had to create another query which is for all of them, everything. So we literally created 3 queries. The first query, which is a universal set, where we are focusing on the number of compliance evaluations that have been done, and so we are simply counting the rows, and again counting how many open and close. And then we created another query that had to do the ones that we could estimate the compliance score, both the pre-qualification score and then the compliance score itself. And so we're able to have an average of the score for those type of compliance activities or compliance evaluations. And then we had a not available. So that's pretty much what we did. We did some cleaning up and everything. Now this is really a very interesting scenario. Okay, the goal was that we had to treat each of them separate. So the ones that are without the score, there we have it here. Estimating the average closure rate, we had to use the general query, the one that contains everything, to be able to estimate that. And then the one with the compliance evaluation score had to be treated separately. There we have it. Just because you cannot just change the data type, because if you have not available in there, then you cannot, once you change, it's going to be like replacing the not available with 0, and it's going to affect the average. Okay, and then again, the other one had to do with the numbers, counting numbers of this and that. And so that's pretty much what happened. And I believe that if you find this video insightful, so let's check the slicer. So that's pretty much how it is. You can see that the slicer is working, and we did the previous year, like the year-on-year percentages and everything. Yes, so that is it, guys. I hope you find this video insightful. I'm going to see you guys in another video. Bye for now. Cheers.